Hello guys, this is Tanzim K, Animal Crossing Fan 01, if you agree with me that I hate my old username, and it's time for a commentary. Remember my previous commentary on a Logan Paul fangirl? In my next commentary, I will be covering a British manchild / nostalgia tard. Well, the next commentatee I'm talking about is no other than Commentates. Commentates, also known as Cool Dude Clem, is a 37-year-old British manchild who has some traits of a famous lolcow known as Chris Chan. So, Saggers was supposed to be your average YouTuber with a fancy for old technology. He also makes more or less below average animations drawn with markers that are still better than GoAnimate. But when you go to his Kiwi Farms forum, you can find his true colors. In one of his deleted rants, he claims that he can't fly a kite because it's too cold, which is bullshit, because I've seen pictures of people flying kites on a snowy land. He made another one of his rants that will be the subject of my next commentary. One of his comments indicate that he only accepts nice comments, proving that he can't take criticism. But the comment from him that makes me facepalm the most is these. I want to stay a child forever, so I train my voice to not break. I think it worked quite well. Most of that's true. I'm in my 30s, but I want to still be a kid. Being a kid was awesome and I wanted to never grow up. So, yes, one thing I tried to do to stay young was to force my voice to not change. That's why I sound the way I do. I do shave though, ever since I was about 15. These comments prove that he wants to be a man-child forever, and that is fucking depressing. So, what video of his I want to take on? His rant on smartphones. Now, I understand why you people don't like smartphones, but Clem's rant was poorly done. So before I start, in this video, you will learn more about smartphones in this video. Let's review this video.
And you're back with me, Cool Dude Clem. I know it's a bit noisy in here, but it's the middle of summer, I've got the fan on full, it's about 32 degrees in this room and I love it. Anyway, before we start, I'm going to tell you a little true story.
Tell me.
Sitting comfortably? Okay then. Did you know that a long time ago, there was no such thing as smartphones? Yeah, I know. Crazy, isn't it?
You know, I grew up at the time when smartphones are in their early stage. Back in my childhood, we have bar phones and flip phones. I remember playing with bar phones when I was really young.
Phones existed, but they were known as landline phones. There was a physical wire that connected the phone to the network, and you didn't have a screen, or texting, or anything like that. All you could do was make and receive calls.
We still use landline phones to this day. Just look at offices. I have a landline phone in my household, but mine is modern, as it was wireless and has a screen. The reason for that is in case of emergencies from the officials.
So, what did you do when you were out and you needed to call someone? Well, there were these little booths that had a phone in them, and you could make calls there.
But the downside is that you have to pay to call someone in the phone booth. Clem, ever heard of something called car phones?
Boy, that sucked. Hooray for smartphones! Smartphones are the best thing ever. Or are they?
In my book, smartphones are an evolutionary innovation. Before smartphones were invented, we have standalone cell phones and personal digit assistants. The first cell phone available for consumers is the Motorola Dynatac 8000X, released in 1983. The first personal digital assistant for consumers is not the Apple Newton, but the Pigeon Organizer, released in 1984, a year after the release of the Dynatac. A decade after the first PDA was released, the first smartphone hit the market. Smartphones are older than you think. People think Nokia invented smartphones, others think BlackBerry invented, and others think Apple did it. But it was IBM who invented smartphones with the IBM Simon in 1994. It puts a cell phone and a PDA in a hobby box to form one. As time goes on, smartphones get better.
Now, I know how it can be a good idea to have some kind of mobile phone with you when you're out and about for emergencies and things like that, but posting every second of your life on Facebook or whatever while you're out? Well, come on. You can do that at home on a computer. You don't need to take all this social media stuff with you.
So what? I will go outside with my laptop on and post something interesting to Facebook or Twitter using that? If laptops aren't an option, then how am I supposed to use social media when all the computers are occupied?
People today cannot go outside for more than 2 seconds without whipping it out. Their phone, that is. Everybody is constantly on their phones these days, and I'm sick of it. I don't know why today everybody feels it's so necessary to be connected to everybody else 24/7.
Well, I'm connected to my friends, both online and real life, but I don't use my phone too often.
They are tech zombies. There's no other way I can put it. They spend their lives in a zombie-like state, on their phones, rotting their brains in a world of text and social media. Come to think of it, I just think I've solved the mystery of why zombies want brains so much. Because they've wasted theirs on their phone.
I do agree with you that smartphones can be addicting. Hell, look at what Motorola's doing.
And what's with selfies? Why do people feel it's so necessary to take a picture of themselves every 5 minutes and post it?
Some people take selfies for reasons like 1. They're obsessed with looks. 2. They want to get attention. And 3. They feel pressured to do that. Some reasons can have connections with narcissism.
Back in my days when you went out, it was to meet up with friends, go shopping, take the dog for a walk, things like that. But nowadays, people are obsessed. They're addicted to their phones.
I went to hang out with my real life friends and only a fraction of them are using their phones.
They are so addicted to their phones that they don't notice anything going on around them. Even if a nuclear apocalypse happened right next to them, they wouldn't even notice it.
They do notice it. They know it by how they hear. Alternatively, your smartphone can be capable to send you an emergency alert.
Until they find out on their phone, of course. People fall down holes, walk into walls and things like that, just because they can't take their eyes off the screen and take notice of what's going on around them. They live in their phones. And let's not forget, texting while driving. If you need to text someone, wait till you get home or pull over. Then text your fellow idiot. Nothing's important enough that you have to make that text right there and then.
Yes, I know that texting while driving can be dangerous. Nowadays, there are useful software tricks to silence your phone while you're driving. By the way, this could be the reason why Apple CarPlay and Android Auto exist. Then again, changing radio stations is even enough to cause an accident.
And when I first heard of this texting while driving thing, I thought, no way, no way. Even in this world of complete stupidity that we live in, nobody could ever be that stupid. Turns out I was wrong. People are so into their phones now that every day when I go out, almost everybody I see has their phone out. One time I saw two people within easy conversational distance of each other. They both had their phones out and they were talking to each other through their phones. I'm serious. I'm not making that up. They could have easily talked directly to each other, but because I guess talking directly to each other is old-fashioned and not cool anymore, they had to do it through their phones.
No, talking to each other in person is not old-fashioned. We still do this to this day. By the way, why the fuck is his son holding a phone? Or a black piece of brick?
Another time I saw a young couple and one of them had their phone out, of course. And this person was yammering away like you could expect, like everybody else does these days. So I guess being on the phone is more important than a happy relationship. Another time, I was walking to the shop and everybody I saw on my way had their phone out.
I'm sure you are making up your assumptions. I went to the supermarket and almost nobody is using their phones.
Even people on a date somewhere, like at a restaurant or something, inevitably one or both people will get their phone out and pay more attention to their phone instead of each other. There was one time I saw this phone ad and everybody looked headless because they all had their heads down texting away on their phones. And do you know what's even more crazy? Smartphones have actually spawned a new phobia. Nomophobia, which is the fear of being without a smartphone. I'm serious. I'm not making that up. Honest to goodness, smartphones have made a new phobia. Without their smartphone, they get uneasy, they cannot stop thinking about it, and they cannot stop pondering the ultimate question of all time. What's happening on Facebook right now?
I can probably live without using it. I have a computer and a tablet after all.
Anyway, these tech zombies would rather be with their phone than be with their friends, because their phone is more important to them than anything else. Even if it's a really good friendship, at least one of them will inevitably reach for their phone at some point. And even in the most unlikeliest places, you'll still find somebody using their phone. Oh, but we're only halfway done. I've got a lot more things to complain about.
Alright, now here is the main attraction. Clem's Nostalgia Filters.
Something that bugs me now is that if you buy some kind of new gadget, you have to pair it with your phone. So, instead of a remote control, like things used to have, you use an app on your phone. And in most cases, that's the only way you can do it. So, if you don't have a smartphone and you buy some new gadget, well, you won't be able to use it if you don't have a phone. It's ridiculous.
Guess what? Deal with it.
Okay, sure, I guess that prevents you from losing the remote, but come on. The thing that really annoys me personally about smartphones is they replaced all the technology that I grew up with. Computers, TV, VHS, cassettes, radio, personal stereos, games consoles, cameras, all of it is done on a phone now. So what's next? Remote controls? No, wait, that happened as well. I like the old ways. I like to use separate devices. If you do everything on your phone, like everybody else does, you lose everything if your phone conks out. No TV, no games, no radio, no internet. Think about it.
Excuse me, I have a TV, game consoles, a radio, a tablet, and a computer. If your phone breaks down, you can get a replacement phone and can still do what you do on your phone. Or get it repaired, either by yourself or a repair master. It's not that hard. Another thing, why do you think a phone can replace a TV? Almost everyone still have televisions. Hell, we recently have TVs with cool technology, like Samsung's QLED TV.
I use a computer for the internet, not a phone.
What if you're in a place with internet connections but no computers, and you wanted to use the internet? Clem, you have a goddamn tablet. You can use that. Wait a minute.
How the hell to use this thing? I don't know. I've got two weather forecasts up here. Alright. This is why I am not a 21st century person. I do not have hardly... Things like this confuse me. I like a decent sized screen. I watch TV shows and movies on a TV, not a phone. Watching on a tiny little screen with a tinny mono speaker is not my idea of quality.
There is a device with a small screen and a somewhat tinny mono speaker called the Watchman. Plus, there's a TV tuner for the Sega Game Gear. An handheld console with a small screen. I'm sure you're gonna hate these devices. If not, then shit, you must be biased. By the way, phones are getting bigger and bigger. Big phones, or phablets, include the Sony Xperia Z Ultra, the Xiaomi Mi Max, and the Galaxy Note 8.
I like to see what's going on without needing a magnifying glass. I play games on a computer, not a phone. Touchscreens do not make good game controllers. Ever try to play Sonic with a touchscreen? It's impossible.
I did play a side-scroller with touchscreen controls. Feels clunky, but I have a game controller that works with a phone. Not all mobile games play like this.
I listen to my music on tape, MP3, vinyl, reel-to-reel and mini-disc. Not a phone. I like good sound.
Nowadays, the sound quality of phones are getting better and better. There are phones that focus on audio, like the older HTC phones with dual front-firing speakers. They sound fucking awesome. What about the ZTE Axon 7? One of the best sounding smartphones, next to the Razer phone, and they both have front-firing speakers. Wait, no love for the Pixel 2 and high-end Xperia phones? Some phones sound phenomenal when you use DAC, digital to analog converter, headphones, like the LG series.
And don't get me started on those silly little earbuds that won't even stay in your ear for more than 5 seconds.
Most earbuds will stay in your ears with little issues, at least to my knowledge.
I record videos with a camcorder, not a phone. I prefer optical zoom over digital zoom.
There exist phones with optical zoom lens. Phones with optical zoom tend to have something like this. After Apple released the iPhone 7 Plus, a dual-camera smartphone with a telephoto lens, many smartphone manufacturers followed the leader.
And I like to have plenty of storage for my footage.
As time flies, the capacity of a phone's onboard storage increases. In 2013, the biggest storage space we can get is 64 gigabytes. Fast forward to 4 years later, it's 256. There will be a phone with 512 gigabytes of storage. Hell, most Android phones and tablets have expandable memory using micro SD cards, where you can hold a lot of data. Yeah.
People get even more stupid when the next phone comes out. Their old phone still works, but no, they're like, duh, look, new phone, must have, it got more useless time wasting stuff, it's new, me like new stuff. Is it really worth it to buy a new phone just to have one more useless feature you don't even need?
No, you don't have to buy a new phone just to embrace new features. You can still keep your phone if you want. I have several friends who are still using older iPhones from 7 to even the 4. Plus, your old phone might have new features from a new phone via software updates.
Even talking on the phone is becoming less and less of a thing now. Instead, it's being used for everything else. I can see a time when nobody will talk on a phone anymore, despite the fact that that's what phones were originally designed for. I can see a time when phones won't even have the feature to make and receive calls, yet it will still be called a phone. You see, as this generation in the not too distant future has gotten to the point where nobody makes calls anymore, or even remembers that phones could do that, that feature might as well be canned. Nobody will miss it, and they'll still call it a phone, despite the fact that it now does nothing that phones were actually designed for.
Why do you think future smartphones would drop support for making calls? That's like game consoles dropping support for games.
And to sum up, mobile phones shouldn't have come this far. It's a phone, for freak's sake. It doesn't need all those features.
Then what do you think about me holding a cell phone, a game console, a music player, a PDA, and a digital camera? That would be inconvenient.
I think when they got to that indestructible Nokia thing, that is where it should have stopped. Phone technology shouldn't have advanced any further than that. And that's my rant about cell phones, or smartphones, or iPhones, or whatever the flipping flip they're called now. And until next time, goodbye.
Well, that's it for his rant on smartphones. What do I think of it? It's bad. Not as bad as the videos by Unicorn 101 Rainbow and Lele Sartorius, but it sucks. The first half of this video, while there are things that I can't agree with you on, it's just you complaining about people using smartphones. If people are using smartphones, just deal with it. Judging by what you said, you are clearly generalizing about people using smartphones. And the second half of this video is just painful. You hate smartphones because they superseded all the gadgets you grew up with. That is something a nostalgia tard would say. And don't think I forgot about what he said about smartphones. I hate smartphones. They replace all the technology I grew up with, and now the world is no longer the way I remembered it. Well, I said I'd do a few more rants, so here is one about smartphones. Something that really bugs me as every time I see these, it reminds me that I'm not living in the 20th century anymore, and makes me feel old, along with other things. Yep, another proof he still lives in the past. Don't get me wrong, I love old technology. I grew up with VCR, cassettes, optical discs, MP3 players, and, to a much lesser extent, floppy disks. I love all of them, but I don't complain about them being obsolete. That is because of one thing. One thing Clem failed to realize. Technology is marching on. They changed a lot since they were produced. They were getting better, faster, smaller, and smarter, let alone reliable. You need to learn to adapt to modern technology. Quit wearing your nostalgia glasses. And we've come to the end of this commentary. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned what I said about technology. This is Tanzim K, and goodbye.